Well, we've just finished the order for Sea Kayak Jervis Bay on his fleet of new doubles, and Dane's going to be here in about 10 minutes to collect them. But for now, the most important thing is that it's 2 days before Christmas. I promised them before Christmas, and here they are. Absolutely stunning looking doubles, these ones. I'm so happy with these. These have come up even, as well, if not better than the last lot. And, to be honest, I think green's my favourite. I thought the yellow was my favourite, but I really am loving that chrome green. That is a cracker of a colour. In fact, I love it so much, I'm thinking about building myself a sea kayak in that colour as well. And I'm still proud to be attached in a little way to Sea Kayak Jervis Bay that Janet and I started back in 1995. It's nice to be able to provide a new fleet of boats for him and see it still going great guns. It's absolutely going so well as a tourism operation, and that's very rewarding for Janet and I to see that continue on. And to have a part in building these, I think they're quite beautiful, and particularly the colours that Dane and Claude have chosen are just sensational, and they'll stick out like a sore thumb out on the water. He'll be able to know who's in trouble, who's doing well, who's not doing so well, and it's really brilliant to have an operator that is just still choosing quality over cheaper versions that are available on the market. These really are a quality sea kayak and a very good sea kayak for running a tour operation. The whole build series that I've just done is, it's a bit of a legacy because it could potentially be the last kayaks that I make. Yeah, handcrafted sea kayaks. Not many people are still making handcrafted sea kayaks around the place now. They tend to all come out of mass production factories, but it's so nice to still be involved. And, we're potentially going to go sailing now and enjoy our sailing for quite some time, and I'm hoping that that's going to be our future, but I'll always have my hand in composite, so why not? Good morning. It's a new day, and yesterday was a bit of a big day. We had 32 degrees in the shed here. It got a little bit hot. I started to join the hulls and decks together, and how that basically works is you hull and deck together with a small plate in between, and then tape the thing together entirely so that you've got no chance of the resin dripping out of the hull and deck seam. These are glass with 2 layers of glass on the inside, as well as a layer of seaming tape on the outside. So you can see here I've actually started the process. I've actually bonded the noses. Joining it, what I do is I put a plate of ABS plastic, just thin ABS plastic, in 3 locations along the boat, and that gives me the ability to be able to sort of get a really tight, accurate fit. Now the ends here are actually end poured with epoxy. So what I've done here is I've actually put in a glass plate, filled it with thickened epoxy, and then that bonds the deck to the hull on the fore and aft end of the boat there. And then basically I'm going to go along with some masking tape and join this. It takes about an hour or so to join each boat. You can see here on this pink one here, it's a full seam all the way along the neck. It's a dead accurate seam, so you're not twisting and contorting the boat into a different shape. And it makes a massive difference to the look of the boat when they're seamed like this. That is a big job taping there, a couple of rolls of masking tape there, and taking it off's a pain in the backside. This guy is now taped up and ready for internal seaming. How that happens is it gets put on its side, and then a seam of 50 millimeters of tape is then put on the inside. I usually do 2 layers, a layer of CSM and then a layer of cloth. Inside here where the hull and the deck join, that has a full 2-layered seam put in there, and what that does is bonds the hull and the deck together and makes the boat one. And then you can continue on with doing the bulkheads and things, but you must get the seam done first, and then you can move on to finishing the outside of the boat. So there's quite a lot to be done here. I've got a full day ahead of me here getting these 2 boats joined and seamed on one side. I may even get seamed on both sides depending on how warm it gets. Typically our days hit around 25-26 degrees, so my glass will often set up in about 2 hours, and that is still green. However, it does enable me to turn it over and get to the other side. It is a big day's work to seam the inside of these. A lot of mask on inside the boat's head, right up inside, with sticks on brushes and rollers and things like that. But yeah, it gets done, and it's a nice process. When it's done, you can take that tape off, and then you're ready to go into the final seaming, and then we can move into the fit out process. This one is now seamed, and it has 2 good layers of glass in there. There's one layer of 300 CSM to give me an initial contact, and then a layer of 600 double bias. 50mm tape. I just cut tape and I put it in place, and then what I do is give it a light sand, and then I'll do a full wax resin on the inside. Wax in styrene mixed with the polyester, and then one final lightweight coat over the entire inside of the hull. I've already done the deck, and that'll make sure that we don't get any sand and grit adhering to the substrate of the actual hull as well, because the problem is at the moment it's still ready to re-laminate, as it's an unwaxed resin. I've used a laminating resin on these kayaks to be able to continue laminating without having to pre-sand and prepare. And next up tomorrow will be this one here. It's taken me pretty much all day to do that other one, as I've had 4 or 5 other jobs going as well, but this one here we're ready to join, and that's going to be nice to get these two completed. These boats take so much work. They're hand built. They're not a production boat that comes out of a factory where I've got a production line. They're a handmade item, so they are very, very meticulously built, very super strong, and obviously that's where the cost comes from. I've had my head inside this thing all day, and it's now fully seamed and ready to do the external seam and put in the center bulkhead. Alright, that one's now done. It's all in the preparation. I'll give it a blow off and take it into the wet room in there to get seamed. You can see here it's in the mould here, it's a little bit distended here, so I can repair that just by sanding back and getting those rough edges off it, and it makes for a really nice seam if you put in the prep work now. The final seaming process is to put an end pour in the nose, have to fill that with epoxy, and then get that nose together, and then remove this tape and then remask it with some fresh masking tape. I'm going to do 2 layers of masking tape on this time, because we're going to have black gel coat on it to finish the seam. It consists of a white fiberglass tape, and this isn't a normal tape that you put on the inside of a kayak. It is actually a woven tube that is actually embedded into the actual gel coat there. 2 layers of gel coat, and then one final layer of flow coat with wax in it, and then it'll be wet sanded down and polished with the rest of the boat. So yeah, quite a lot of work goes into seaming these boats. It takes about an hour to get this seam finished once it's all prepped up, and then you're on the final preparation for the fit out. The final fit out is deck lines and all the rudders and pedals and obviously all the other stuff that makes it look pretty. But the prettiness actually comes from all the preparation, to be honest. The final work is not that hard. The seaming of this boat, I've got the tape in place here. What I do is I put it on and just sort of tape it in place with a couple of little tabs, and that actually keeps it in place and makes sure that I've got the right length of flat braid. Now, this product that I seam all of the kayaks with is it's a flat braid. It's a 18mm flat braid glass, and it's from PRF Composites in the UK, and it's amazing stuff. I generally buy it about 150 metres at a time, because every kayak typically is around about 12 to 15 metres, so I'll get about 10 per roll, and the preparation is quite considerable. So I've remasked it on the top and the bottom. I actually put double amount on the bottom here just to catch any excess gel coat or flow coat that might fall onto the product. And then what I'll do is I'll actually remove all the tabs and lay this down. I always start at the stern so that I get a nice neat one piece around the nose. There's nothing worse than having a big bump of glass on the front there where you've joined a tape. So it's a one piece tape starting at the stern and goes all the way around and back. And then the process, once I start, I dab gel coat all the way along it. I can get this flat braid exactly where it needs to be and get it all straight and aligned, and then I'll cover that with gel coat, and then I'll immediately come back and put black flow coat on it, which is gel coat mixed with wax in styrene. It's around about a 10% wax in styrene mix, and why I add that is to make that wax come to the surface. It gives it a nice smooth finish. It actually allows it to set up, unlike gel coat that will remain tacky. So if you ever see a boat that's got tacky still on it, then that means that the wax wasn't added to the final finish. You can see here it's quite a nice little braid, but the actual seam's going to be around about 1 inch and a bit, so it's a fairly substantial black line to cover up any imperfections in the braid, and that is what makes the boat really pop, is that contrasting deck and hull colour and a beautiful black seam. Now you could spray this. If you were to spray this seam on, you'd have to plastic sheet the bottom and the top except for the seam, and a lot of manufacturers will do that, and actually that's a great way to make it look beautiful and smooth. But I've found that with the brush I can certainly get a good result, and then we can just quickly polish it down. Wet and dry sandpaper, 800 grit sandpaper around it, a 1200 grit wipe down, and then a simple polish to bring it home. As the stern end of the kayak is solid epoxy, I'm able to drill into the end to insert a plastic sleeve that will allow the rudder to move freely inside the sleeve. The Sea Kayak rudder is retractable, and it can be deployed once in deep water after launch, and will bounce up and down if shallow water or an obstruction is encountered. Rudders are sourced from Max Grant in New Zealand of Q Kayaks, and are a robust unit that has served us well for well over 25 years of sea kayaking. A lot of the fit out is in the end, and obviously the fit out is some of the most important part, including putting in little double saddles like this to control the rudder lines, finishing off the rudder cable lines, the handles, and yesterday I put in a waxed resin in here, so this is all nice and smooth and ready to be cleaned up. And up here on the bow, I've just tidied up the hatch rim here, and then this will be Sikaflexed and bolted down with Sikaflex 291. I always use 291 because it's more of an adhesive than just a sealant. Same deal here. So I'm working on the two boats sort of consecutively, and that is giving me the ability to be able to work through each of them identically. And then before these disappear and Dane comes and picks these up, what I intend to do is make exact measurements of the deck lines, which I have actually standard, but I've changed it a little bit on this one, of where the deck lines fit, and then we can ultimately make the other ones identically. The only thing I do have to do, I have to thermoform another rudder protector here. For some reason I've lost one. I may have replaced it on one of my old hire boats years ago, and this is just a thermoformed version of a rudder protector. It just stops the gel coat from getting smacked as it comes up over the top. But we've got a rudder stop on here, and this rudder stop is very effective because what it does, it basically holds it so when his boat's in transit on a trailer or on the roof of a car, it won't flip up and fly off, obviously. So we are on to doing the pedals in the kayaks, and it's a two-man job because it's brutal on your back and you need someone to do the measuring. It's a two-person job. Sorry, I did say two-person job, didn't I?
No, you said two-man.
Okay, so these pedals, They're an aftermarket pedal that come from Kayaks in New Zealand, and these are superb because they're a sliding pedal, perfect for an operator because that gives him heaps of adjustment. You can move it, slide it back and forth, whereas a fixed pedal is not great for an operator. The wing type ones that they put in a lot of racing kayaks are just totally inappropriate for an operator, and much better off with some sort of a sliding arrangement that just works. Not as good for paddling technique because you should really be bracing against something solid, but for an operator that's getting people out for a 4-hour paddle, these are just brilliant. I found this after 20 years of fighting with wing pedals and all these other sorts of pedals with wing nuts and the works. But anyway, putting them in is not easy. Now the great thing is that because I built the original ones for Dane for Sea Kayak Jervis Bay, I was able to ring him the other day and say, go and give me the measurements, because it's about 20 years since I built these, and they're still going strong. His fleet is still almost as good as new, so he's got a new fleet here, he's got a new guy working for him, but the good thing was he was able to give me the measurements exactly how he wants them. So you go 8 centimetres down from the seam, which I can't see because Janet's blocking the light. And 550 along is the beginning of the track. So we use masking tape whenever we drill holes, and you need to align these pedals perfectly. So it's time now to install the forward bulkheads. Now these are just a piece of flat fiberglass sheet, and what I do to position them, I actually put them in place with a little bit of hot glue, a tiny little dab of hot glue, and then I can laminate them in. I've actually prepped the surface of that because that is a smooth surface. I did lay that up on a piece of flat galvanized metal sheet, and obviously we want to etch that. We don't want that to be smooth because we won't get a good bond. Same deal with this one, so I've got 2 to do. And I'll get these done now, and then tomorrow morning when I come in I'll be able to do the insides. I probably could laminate the inside today, but the thing is I've got to roll the boat over to do that, and when I roll it over there's a chance I might dislodge it, even though I have adhered it in there with hot glue. And one of the final parts of the boat is this 8-inch hatch. It's actually held in with 8 stainless screws and Sikaflex 291. Prepare the surface, we sand the surface of the rim, sand it down, drill the 8 holes, and then make sure we always mark where these holes go in, because these moulded points may not be dead accurate and you don't have to re-drill once you've got this black Sikaflex in place. Once you've got that, you're ready to basically position your hatch rim. So I've marked the top one because the holes are drilled. There's no guarantee these holes are going to line up, and then we've just got to find the first one, which is there, position it without disturbing it, and then we can get our other ones in place. add the screws, and that's done, and we'll let that set up for the day. And these are being picked up this afternoon and they're finished. Righto, this one's finished, and there's nothing left to do but reveal the logo, put on the decals, best part of making a boat is putting on the logo. Done. Righto, I think you'll be having some beat ups over the pink one. I think that'll be it.
I reckon so too.
Well, thanks for ordering them, mate. I really appreciate it. 30 years, you know, Sea Kayak Jervis Bay's been in existence, and you're the man. And we're going to watch you from our yacht.
Carrying it on, that's right. I'll be waving to you on the paddle past.
We're going to be watching you from the comfort of a yacht while you're dealing with you're working hard out on the water. Well done, mate. Well, enjoy your boats. What do you reckon, mate? Happy? Yeah, that's pretty good done, eh? I love this chrome green. It's wicked. Yeah, it's very Christmassy.
It is. Put a hat on it.
Yeah, put a hat on it. Well, welcome, mate, and thank you so much for your order, and I hope you have a really busy summer, which I think you're going to. And I'm going to be out sailing, so I'll see you. I'm going to be sitting there watching you paddle past.
We're going especially fast now.
Yes, I reckon you will. Well, they're all polished. They couldn't get much more polish on them. All right, very good, mate. Thank you very much, and I'll sign off on that because I'm very happy that I finished them on time. Well, wasn't on time, it was a bit late, but anyway, other things got in the way. But, brilliant, mate. Thanks, Dane.